anturumã chaya no Camaru anuri, no Camai, no Camwacá, na anuri, no Yuyuá, na Warron Chinã, Vupanque, Tu Chinã, Chaval aqui, Chinã Mukikirani, Tsai Chavakirani, Tsai Mukikirani. Awama wananã, no Maú no Wai Charai.
This is Leviticus 19:31. Regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, your power. Shalom, Kahala Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Kokordash. The Lord is my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, who the house of David will be born again in this generation. And shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about what we just watched, which was a opening ritual to the World Economic Forum's symposium that is taking place, or did take place last week, right? What you've seen there was a I guess you could say a shaman, but it was a woman who was performing a religious ritual, okay? And the thing about these other religions and these other practices and chants, a lot of it is made up, and if it's not made up, it basically goes back to a form of Satanism. So for example, let's go and read this. This is Isaiah 19:3. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. So in this video, we saw the council of Egypt, right? Egypt is basically another way that you could describe the Western powers, right? Basically America along with the NATO nations, okay? Or what we see there in a culmination at the World Economic Forum, right? That right there could be considered like the heads of Egypt, right? Or basically, because again, remember, these Edomites, when I say Edomites, I'm talking about Caucasians, they took over Egypt after Alexander the Great. Let's bring the timeline. And when you see here, Alexander the Great came in around 336 BC. Now, eventually, he died. His kingdom went to his 4 generals. One of the generals being Ptolemy, who took over Egypt. And this is why a lot of these elitists that rule the world, who are these Edomites, see themselves as Egyptians, right? For example, this is why the English crown, or English King Charles, has little bees on his royal, like Shah. Also the little rod he holds and the crux, right? That's the same thing that they did in Egypt. See, because these people are passing on that heritage that they do actually have, right? A lot of times people like to say that white people don't have any culture, but they do. It's the culture, or should I say the evidence of cultures that they've robbed over the time that they've been in power. So enough about that. So back to this, right? What we've seen are the current pharaohs of the world, right? The Edomite leadership that are here at the World Economic Forum, seeking to their charmers and to those that have familiar spirits. See, this woman, she was a charmer, right? She had familiar spirits. This is why she was making those chants. But like I said, most of these, or all the gods of the nations, are not gods, as it tells us. Let's go and read that real quick. That's in Psalms 96:5. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but Yahweh made the heavens. Right? So Yahweh Ba'Shem made the heavens. Because remember, the Lord gave the order, and the Messiah, Yahweh Shai, him, along with the powers, right, the other angels, made the universe and everything that we know. Now, let's read this. This is 1 Corinthians 10:20. But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils, and not to God. And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils. So you see, this ritual here, though these people of the world may think it's holy, or it's, sacred, or it's, it's nice and all stuff, really what she's doing, at the least, is basically making a mockery of the true worshiping of the one God, that being the God of the Bible, whose true Hebrew name is Yahweh, right? Also, he would be known as the God of the Israelites, right? He's not the God of everybody in the world. He's only the God of the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, and anybody whose father's lineage goes back to that bloodline. Now, this woman, like I said, at the worst, she was simply making things up and reciting those things which were taught to her, which were basically may have been superstition, or they could have been invocation or summoning of a demon, right? Or basically calling out to the powers or to the lower G gods in this world. Because again, you can communicate with the demons of this world, right? This is why the Bible tells you not to go to these who are familiar with the spirits, right? Because what do? Well, the powers on the left-hand side, when you get into the current power structure of the world, they're wizards, right? These Edomites, these people at the top. This is why you always hear about stories about what's her name, Abriva Zanovic, that one witch who's always with Jay-Z and all these famous people around the world, all these musicians. They're all practicing Satanist rituals. Well, it's because they do things like this, right? They sacrifice to devils, right? Even though they're saying, oh, it's simply just a spirit or a ghost. It's actually a demon, right? Or an angel on the left-hand side, okay? And that's what these people are doing. They're seeking spiritual benefits in the endeavors that they're taking. Because again, what they're doing is they're basically rebuilding the Tower of Babel, where they're trying to bring all the nations together to basically run under the doctrine of men instead of the doctrine of God, right? And they're using their own rituals or their own world rituals, because remember, that's what the New World Order is, okay? The New World religion that the New World Order is going to bring forward is going to be a amalgamation of all the world's religions all mixed together, and it's going to be called something new, but it's going to have some sort of like tribalism, things like what we've just watched here, okay? But let's read this. This is 1 Timothy 4:1. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. This tells you that towards the end, right, that even people within our nation, the Negro, Latino, Native Americans, that you're going to have our people falling into a lot of these different doctrines, right, that were brought up by these devils, these deceivers, right? And this is why when you look at our people, a lot of our people are into Catholicism, Christianity, Islam, and then you have a lot of these New Age religions that have been taken over, that being, Buddhism, Hinduism, basically the New Age movement, which is basically an old form of paganism. See, what we're seeing now is the attempted flooding out of the truth, right? Basically flooding the world with just a bunch of lies, right? Or a bunch of options, so that way you don't know what the truth is. Well, the truth of the Bible is that the Bible is not a book of religion, right? There's no organized religion that the Bible speaks of. What the Bible actually talks about is that of the heritage, the history, the accomplishments, and the future prophecies that would befall a certain group of people. Those people would be the chosen bloodline that came from Adam, that came all the way down from Abraham, Isaac, down to Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, and who had 12 sons. Those 12 sons today would be known as the Negro, Latino, Native Americans. And again, there's going to be Israelites coming out of every one of the nations of today. Okay? This is Micah 5:12. And I will cut off witchcraft out of thine hand, and thou shalt have no more soothsayers. That lady was a soothsayer, right? Even though she may not have been giving a reading, she was performing a spiritual ritual. Okay? But notice what it says here. See, the Lord is going to cut off witchcrafts. And this is why we're starting to see a lot of things like the movie industry starting to crash, right? You're seeing the Me Too movement. You're seeing all these, real life events taking place. But what's spiritually happening is that these institutions, these systems of magic are crumbling before our very eyes. Now to us, it simply looks like businesses are going out of business. Industries are losing money, but we could all feel it, right? This is why for the last couple of years you've been hearing about how Halloween or Christmas just doesn't feel the same. Also, a lot of the gimmicky movies and TV shows that used to be alluring to you, they just don't have the same appeal, right? Everything is being redone. And that's another thing too, by the way. Whenever you see movies or TV shows constantly being redone, is because these TVs and movies, they're actually programs. They're planned programming for the masses. And when they basically remake them, what they're doing is they're basically reloading that programming to the masses again, because they need people to portray a certain trait that the powers that be want. And this is why we're seeing so many remakes of TV shows, movies being done. You're seeing songs being brought back. You're seeing all these devils trying to pull out all the stops, but it's just not working. People are still waking up. This truth is prevailing, and these devils can't stop this truth from coming out. This is Isaiah 13:19. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees, excellency, shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. Now notice here when it says the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency. When you get into the Chaldees, these were the people, basically the high wizards of Babylon. When you get into the Bible timeline, there's a little schematic that shows how from Cush came Nimrod, and from Nimrod came Babylon. And you could ultimately read this here, but notice here, these are the Chaldeans, right? And these were considered like the biggest wizards and pagans in the world, right? Again, they were Hamites, but this is where a lot of that magic comes from. Okay, those people, right? They were known as the Chaldeans. So now here in Isaiah, because remember, Isaiah happened way after Babylon. Okay, so the term Babylon here is a reference to this future power, this future fifth empire that would come at the end times, and that would rule over the whole world. And what this is saying is that the magicians of that time, the Chaldeans of those days, today we know those people as the Satanists, the Freemasons, these different schools of mystic arts and cults that these elites belong to, right? Mainly these Edomites. And you have a lot of other nations. You even got some of our people, right? The Boule, right? Which is a Freemason chapter, but simply for you Judites, right? But again, a lot of those people don't even understand what's really going on. Well, back to the scripture, right? Right here it's telling you that in the end times that Babylon the Great is going to ultimately be destroyed as God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, the point on this scripture is what I have highlighted here, that this land is the beauty of the Chaldeans, right? Basically, this is the beauty of the magicians at the end time, right? The wizards, right? It's their excellency, it's their perfect work, right? It's their, what is that term? Grand opus, right? And that's what America is, right? Because when you get into the Great American Project or the New Atlantis Project, right? You also get into what the founding fathers, how they were all into Freemasonry. Benjamin Franklin was into the Hell's Fire Club. All these people understood the occult schools and understandings, okay? So they were all magicians, and America was an experiment to see if they could accomplish that which they desired. And what is that? Well, it's on our dollars, right? The new world order that they are bringing forth right now. This is Leviticus 20:6. And the soul that turneth after such as have familiar spirits, and after wizards, to go a whoring after them, I will even set my face against that soul, and will cut him off from amongst his people. Now here ultimately is talking to the Israelites, but this is here to kind of illustrate how the Lord feels about these people that are going to seek help from wizards and witches. Okay, the Lord, if this is what he would do to us Israelites, imagine what he would do to these heathens that are doing it, right? That are, not only are they doing it, but they're doing it, you know, first and foremost against us. Because again, remember, the Israelites, us Negro, Latino, Native Americans, we are the representation of God upon earth. When these other nations worship other gods, or they worship, you know, some sort of man-made object, what they're doing is they're rebelling against God and in proxy against us, the Israelites, right? The righteous rule. But again, ultimately in the kingdom, right? What did the Lord say? Wait upon me until I rise up to the prey. That's when things will be set right. But until then, we just have to endure this, right? Endure this with long suffering, like it tells us in the Bible. This is Habakkuk 2:15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, and putteth thy bottle to him, and maketh him drunken also, that thou mayest look on their nakedness. And the reason I bring this scripture out is because all these religions, all these doctrines, all these dogmas that have been pushed on the world, they've all been, for the most part, brought by these devils, right? These Edomites, right? They had a large hand in the majority of these wayward doctrines. Okay, now some of these came about because these other nations who the Lord rejected, they ultimately, you know, had their beliefs, and that naturally was going to develop. Now they ultimately worship, you know, angels or demons and stuff, right? But they don't worship the Most High Father, right? They're simply over there in a corner worshiping, you know, something, you know, totally not even relevant to what's going on. But then you have these Edomites. They came through with totally false doctrines, right? Christianity, or when I say Christianity, I'm talking about Protestantism, right? That came out with Martin Luther, this guy, right? That's basically America Christianity today, right? You also have, you know, the whole Kemet stuff. You got Scientology. I was just speaking about that the other day. You got Catholicism and the whole, you know, Cesare Borgia doctrine. You even have these Amalekites who are pretending to be us, right? They took our heritage and made that into a man-made religion. See, all these devils, they took all, and this is just a small portion of the religions that surround and entrap the world. But this is the wine that these devils made the whole world to drink, right? And there's more wine than just religion, right? There's the loose moral lifestyles, the corrupted economic models that get pushed around the world, the false sense of reality that these devils, you know, claim is the truth, and, you know, science and history, right? You see all these different, you know, wines, right, or trees of knowledge, right? If you want to go back to the Garden of Eden, you know, understanding, right? These are all corrupted, and they're all brought forth by these heathen. And what they do is they then put it on us, and then especially these devils here, man, who are pretending to be us, you know, they pray to God, say, hey, look at these people, you know, the Israelites, look at these Israelites, look what they're doing. And it's them that caused us to go off. See? So just like the World Economic Forum right now is trying to mislead the world, trying to make us drink their wine, right? And basically mislead us into the ditch. And then eventually they'll probably say, you know, that's our fault for following them because they told us, because you know how Esau operates, right? He has to tell us what he's doing before he does it, but that doesn't work, right? The scripture says that the Lord's going to still choose Jacob, right? That he's going to save us out of the destruction that these devils, these Edomites have planned for us. But the only thing we got to do is, you know, follow the Lord and do that which is pleasing unto him. That being doing the works and keeping the laws to the best of your ability. So either way, hopefully this video was edifying, Akim. Till the next time, I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rukak Wadash. Shalom.